beginning, believe that or not. Because when I first saw games like Fortnite, like I enjoyed PUBG. PUBG was fun. So let's just start off with the origins of Battle Royales. So Battle Royales actually date back maybe to like the early 2010s. They actually are deeper rooted than that. The Japanese culture has a lot of Battle Royales presented in them through their cinematography. There's actually a movie called Battle Royale that's worth looking into. And there's actually, I think, a sequel to it as well. Very good movies, worth checking out. But so they kind of got their, I guess you could say the foundation for them started in games like Arma 2 and Minecraft, of all places. There was mods to create these Battle Royale-esque game modes. So PUBG saw this, and they kind of, well, the creators of PUBG saw this, and they made this its own entity, made it its own game. They were the first commercial Battle Royale. I've actually had some debates about this with someone. They're like, well, Fortnite was first. I'm like, Fortnite wasn't first. Fortnite just grew exponentially faster than most other Battle Royales. So let's just jump into, for me, my personal favorite Battle Royale currently is Warzone. What would you say is your favorite at the moment?
I would say mine is Warzone as well. I mean, it's one that I've had, I guess, the least amount of issues with. I mean, I guess the only problem that I've seen with Warzone is they don't bring a lot of new content aside from like weapons. I think the one thing Fortnite had going for them was the fact that they changed their map like every season, just about. In some way or form, adding stuff in, making a named location different, like changing it around. Fortnite is definitely one that I've played the most. I would say that, obviously, since, I mean, Warzone hasn't even been out for a year. In March, it'll have been out for a year. So I probably played Fortnite for about 2 years before I completely cut it off. I haven't played it in probably almost a year now. Even before Warzone came out, I kind of stepped off of the Fortnite scene just because I didn't really like the direction that the game was going in. So, but yeah, to kind of answer your question, Warzone would definitely be my favorite as well.
See, and I find it fascinating. It's like almost what decides like a successful battle royale. They all kind of have the same principle, you know. It's you get a bunch of idiots together, you drop them out of some flying vehicle, or just start them off somewhere on the map, and you have them kill each other until there's one idiot left standing. So, or you could just be somebody who hides and not kill anyone and somehow win. Somehow you can still manage to win, but they all kind of have that same key core concept to them. It's about so much not so much about how many people you kill. It's about strategy. It's about kind of figuring out where is the best place to position myself in terms of, like, say for example, Fortnite, PUBG, and Call of Duty and Battlefield, which is, I don't know, like I kind of know why Battlefield's Battle Royale didn't succeed, just because it almost seemed like it came out during a period where everyone was creating a Battle Royale. And it just didn't pick up the momentum it could have, and it had its issues. Just the same situation with Blackout. I'm sure there's a lot of Blackout players out there from Black Ops 4, but it's interesting to consider what makes one successful, what makes one fail. And I honestly feel like a lot of it is the streamers that jump into it, the marketing, the timing, because obviously when you have a game like Call of Duty, it's already a big title, just like Battlefield is, but Battlefield's a bigger title for different reasons. It's not known, like, for Call of Duty to take on this venture into the Battle Royale modes, it was an interesting thing, because it's like, well, Call of Duty's these fast-paced, kind of smaller map shooters, where it's supposed to be, it's not centered around big maps, so it was very interesting for everyone to be like, oh, how is this going to pan out? Whereas Battlefield, they kind of set an expectation because they already have big maps. They already have, like, vehicles on the ground. It's almost like you already have a lot more of the foundation for a battle royale there. So I feel like people we're more nitpicky with it just because of that. I personally enjoy trying out different battle royales. I've tried the Collin. There's another one, the Darwin Project. I've tried out both of them. They're like in their beta phases. I don't think they really gained commercial success to the point where they're going to continue to expand on these games, and I may be wrong. If someone tunes into this podcast and they're like, "You're an idiot, dude. The Darwin Project's awesome, or the Colleague's awesome," I'll be like, "All right, well, I'll revisit it because that's what we do. We like to revisit games. We like to jump into them and see how they've developed over time." But I guess I'm curious, like, why do you think everyone wanted to create a battle royale after Fortnite? Like, do you think it's because that they saw that commercial success, or they just thought it was actually a cool and interesting game mechanic they wanted to implement into their game?
I feel like it could be both. Probably more the first and the second. Obviously, in the video game world, you see a certain game mode, a certain mechanic, a certain storyline, a genre that works for a specific developer. You see everybody that's outside of that box try to dip their toes in a little bit and see how they can implement their game to take a little bit of that success and implement it into their own games. And then on the second point was that how you had mentioned that they see it as like, oh, this is a good game. Like as far as the mechanics and stuff, again, maybe a developer has been creating games and they've been kind of going at a downhill slope, and maybe coming out with a battle royale got them back in the up again. So, yeah, kind of. I feel like both points would be very, I guess, probably the main 2 points why these games who didn't have battle royales jumped into them. I mean, you look at Call of Duty, for instance, they probably could have went without jumping into the battle royale scene, and they would have still continued their same success that they have year after year. But they realized by jumping into it, they've had, I don't know, what is it, 60 million players now? Last time I looked, I think it was 50 or 60 million players that they've had worldwide, which is huge. That's a big number. I mean, that's a fourth of the U.S. alone, as far as numbers go. But yeah, I feel like it's different for everyone. But I think those are the 2 main points why a developer would jump into the battle royale scene.
I think it's also fun to call back to Fortnite because me personally, I was never the biggest fan of it. I played the first season and a little bit into the second season. It just wasn't for me. I actually thought it was going to be a commercial failure. I didn't think it was going to become what it was. And I was like, when I saw it blow up and expand out so much, I was just like, wow, like, how is this growing so fast? And I think a big part of that too is because it could be entertaining for all age groups. It was a game that could bring in kids and stuff like that, and adults. It has almost that notoriety, that playability, kind of like Pokemon does. You know, there's a lot of adults who still are entertained with the games like Pokemon. So but it had that base to where it doesn't have to cater to a certain audience. Like, obviously, it caters to a degree because it's like, oh, you got to kind of like the concept of competition and shooters to a degree, but it also has building implications. It just had a lot going on there. What is funny about Fortnite is Fortnite's Battle Royale actually wasn't even a part of the original concept for the game. It is something that kind of came out of the actual original concept for the game kind of falling short. And to see that them implement that Battle Royale mode in, and it turned their game into such a success that, I mean, you can't go it like almost everyone knows what Fortnite is now. You can love it, you can hate it, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
And so I think that was like really where like a lot of these game designers, which I kind of hate it. I kind of hate that a lot of game designers saw that, because I understand it. If you see something that works, you're going to use it. But to see so many game designers try to just be like, oh, we're going to do that now too because it's going to work for us. It's like, no, it may not work for you. Stick with what you know if it's working for you. If it's not working for you, sure, consider these alternative options, but maybe try to lean more into the creative side versus just like, we're going to scramble together to put a battle royale together. And I think that's kind of why a lot of these other battle royales fail compared to like say things like Warzone or PUBG or Fortnite, because they actually take the time to kind of create and flesh out this entity that they're bringing into their game. And PUBG is fully centered around just being a battle royale. It's not like Fortnite. It's not like Call of Duty. It is at its base just a battle royale. And and it's very entertaining to play these kind of games because it does create a different environment for competition. It's a good breakaway from, say, you just have to seize an objective, or it's a team deathmatch. It's kind of like, way I like to compare it is like mass scale search and destroy, with the only singular objective being to survive. And I like that. I like that because I love the one life concept, but I do like how they implemented in Warzone, and how that you can kind of come back, and it keeps that fast paced energy to it. And I think that's what Warzone really kind of sets itself apart, is because you can come back. Your team can bring you back. It creates that fast paced environment, especially like you can end up in cities. And I gotta give another shout out here to another big name that I failed to mention already, Apex. Apex Legends is very fast paced battle royale as well. And it does a lot of things good, and I think it does a lot of things bad at the same time. But again, it's another thing like Fortnite. You can love it or hate it, but it's got its name out there, and I like it. It has its foundation, its roots in Titanfall, which I love that game. Me and you were actually discussing about potentially doing a franchise Friday for it because it is such an underrated and beautiful game. A lot of people hype it up. It's kind of weird that it has such an amazing rating and stuff like that, but yeah, you can get it for so cheap. It's like, how was it just not the marketing? Like, where did it fail? And I want to kind of jump into that and research that more. But getting back to the topic of battle royales, I guess it's just, I feel like it's almost more satisfying too, because like, say you win a team deathmatch, right? You're versing like how many players? Like, it can vary depending on what game you're playing.
Yeah,
it
like
could be like
6 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah, like 6 to 10. And when you're looking at a battle royale, even if the numbers kind of slightly skewed, because the fact that you're not actually running into 80 to 90 other players, you at most probably run into at most maybe 20 to, if you're like, I'd say 20 to 30 at most at your most populated times in a game. Then there are those, you see those select streamers who sit there and they know the most populated areas, and they can just sit there and win these exchanges and collect 40, 50 kills to like hundreds as a team. And it's cool to watch because it's like, wow, these people are pretty much wiping out almost everybody. But then you consider things with Warzone, it's like there's like with the respawning, it's like, how many people do you actually run into in a battle royale? You could choose to not run into anyone, realistically. You could choose, if you find a spot that you know no one's going to want to go, and you play the circle just right, there's a chance you very well may not run into anybody until the last circle.
Yeah, it's funny you actually mentioned that. It was like last week. It was the first day because because we've been playing Rocket League and Fallout quite a bit over the last, I don't know, month or so, and I had probably been a week and a half since I'd played Warzone. And when we jumped back into it, I think it was like our second or third game. We had landed at military base, and there was like 7 or 8 recons to do. So we did all of them, and it ended up like it was like the 7th circle that we got to see to. And so we just sat there, and kind of like you said, if you choose to play that way, you could literally find, okay, this is the spot on the map that the circle is going to end. Nobody's going to come through here. Nobody did. We literally sat there for I think 12, 13 minutes, and literally like we saw people like 100 plus meters away now and then, but it was just like we just sat there and waited till the end. But yeah, it was just kind of going off of how you said there's a different way to play it. You could go balls to the wall and get 100 plus kills as a team, or you can literally have 1 kill at the end of the game.
Exactly. And then it's also it's interesting to point out, because you mentioned that we've been playing Fallout 76 a lot, and they actually have a battle royale too, which is it's funny that they added
their winter.
Yeah, they have a battle royale, and it's not the worst battle royale I ever played. It just doesn't feel. It feels weird. It almost feels like foreign because it almost is
too.
Yeah, it definitely feels incomplete, and it feels rushed. And I know there's a lot of players that play it still. I've hopped on with a couple of people who are on my friends list that I just added on randoms when I was playing Nuclear Winter, and we played a couple of pretty good games. And it has an interesting concept that I really like, that you can launch nukes. You can launch nukes in it and pretty much like just create a no man's zone on a big chunk of the map, which is awesome. and it has all the characteristics of Fallout that you love, but it's just not. It doesn't feel Fallout because it's Fallout in its core is a storyline game. It's an RPG. It's meant to be more than just, oh yeah, we're gonna assemble a team and we're gonna just nuke each other. And it kind of does break away from the consistency of the established lore and the storyline, and that's kind of where it kind of bugged me. But I still enjoyed playing it, and it did have playability. And I don't know. I just feel like battle royales are one of those things that I feel like are kind of becoming sort of like the superhero franchise. Like they're gonna end up being around like for a while.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's gonna fail at points. You're gonna see sloppy battle royales, but I feel like no matter what, there is always going to be an established fan base now because now that it's so integrated into the video game market, that it's just gonna constantly keep trying to up the ante for one, and there's going to be new creative ideas that come out. I look forward to seeing that. I look forward to seeing what can we do different with the battle royale. And honestly, I think one cool concept that would be like if they could actually get it in the works would be a Hunger Games video game because I enjoy the series. I enjoy Hunger Games, and I love the concept of these different districts. And I think if you made a very, and I'm sure there may be one out there, but it's probably not big name. I haven't heard about it. But if you created like a say for the new Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5, you create this Hunger Games Battle Royale game, you pick a district, you get starting perks based off what district you pick, and you go through this, and I think that'd be interesting. And then you could also integrate a storyline into that as just one of these district candidates if you wanted to, and just kind of like, or you could even pit it against, like there could be rewards for whatever district has the most wins, like in a season pass set, like sort of way. You could just have like whatever district is carrying the most wins. And you would have to definitely balance the districts enough to where people would want to not just overload one district. But I think it'd be a cool concept. And like you do see battle royales like throughout cinematography quite a bit actually. Like I was just telling you about, there's a movie I want to check out, the Belko Experiment. I guess it's like a battle royale esque situation in an office of all places, which sounds amusing. So I look forward to jumping into more of that and seeing what I can learn about that. And maybe we can even end up doing a franchise Friday that kind of pertains to really fleshing out how battle royales play such a pivotal role in the development of not just video games, but overall cinema and kind of the appeal of it and kind of understand the appeal of it. Because like I'll tell you, when I guess I'd say I got my first win in Fortnite for a battle royale. It was either Fortnite or PUBG, I can't remember. But either way, getting my first win does feel so satisfying. Once you get your first win, it's almost like an addiction. It's like you want to do it again. You want to consistently get wins, and I feel like there's just more value in a win than a battle royale, and I think that's why so many people are also trying to churn out these battle royales because it does create that sensation. Because like I mentioned earlier, there's so many people involved in the lobby. You get this mentality about it. It's like, wow, I'm out of hundreds of people, our team won or I won, depending on if you're playing solo. And that's another thing too. They've implemented and stuff like you can play solo, you can play duos, you can play quads, and you even see it. Warzone may not be changing their map up much, but they are implementing interesting game modes. Like for example, they just did the vehicle, the up armored truck battle royale, which is dope. That was a cool concept that I hope they bring back, or maybe even implement up armor like these. Bring these LMTV trucks in and have 50 cals mounted on them as part of the play, like in game, because they're not hard to destroy. If you kind of nerf how much like maybe like just how much armor they have on them and bring them into the regular Warzone, I think it'd be awesome, because it'd just be sick to be able to whip around in a truck with a 50 cal on it, and they're not invulnerable as we've seen playing it. They can be taken out. And one thing you mentioned to me that I never got the chance to play was that Fortnite implemented like planes.
Yeah, that was I think season 9 or 10. It wasn't chapter 2 yet. I know that, but yeah, they implemented planes, and now they have helicopters in it. I haven't played it since there's been helicopters in it. Yeah, the plane. It's funny you actually mentioned there was like a specific. I can't remember. I think it was called Air Royale, And the way it worked was and it was duos. It was you and a partner. You had a plane, and it was the same amount of people. So it was like 100 people in the lobby. So you had 50 planes in the sky, and you just fly around. And there's different power ups you can fly through, so that like your plane shoots a better weapon, and then your teammate rides on the wing of the plane and can shoot like miniguns, ARs at these other planes. And I think you get 3 plane lives, and it's just like a regular battle royale. The circle closes in, and it's actually a moving circle, so that like half the circle is in and half the circle is out, so you have to like move and stuff. And that was like a really fun game mode. And I guess vehicles is kind of a touchy area for battle royales, I think, just because I mean, you look at battle royales at their root, vehicles aren't really a prevalent thing, except for like PUBG, maybe. But for Fortnite and even like Apex, I feel like vehicles aren't necessary. And I feel like that's where kind of Fortnite fell off, was because of the fact that they did implement vehicles with the Max in Season 10. They have cars and trucks and semis now. They're just kind of implementing a lot of new stuff. And obviously they still have a prevalent community behind the game. Obviously there's probably still millions of people who play it. But I mean, they lost me as a player. And I mean, everybody that we know, nobody plays Fortnite anymore. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting area to go into, and I'm sure since they implemented all that new stuff, they've brought people in as people left. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. I guess you have to look at the numbers and see if the game took a loss and is down from where they were a year ago. But
well, and that's getting into the subject of when is too much change a bad thing? When do you stop deviating too far from your formula? Because I feel like they kept constantly changing their format just because out of fear of people getting bored. But they got too far away from kind of what their foundation was, to the point that it wasn't really the same Fortnite anymore. And I think they didn't contemplate how much that was going to rub a lot of players the wrong way. And like you said, I'm sure there's a lot of Fortnite players that's still out there potentially who still enjoy it, but it does feel kind of like it. Like you don't see it as much mentioned anymore. Like there was a time where like everything was talking about Fortnite. You'd see it everywhere, to the point it's almost obnoxious in your face. Like you even got Fortnite dances in movies, and people thinking. Like me personally, I thought that all that stuff was stupid. I didn't enjoy it. I thought the Fortnite dances were dumb. I thought seeing people laugh at it, I was kind of like, that's not funny. That's not humor. It looks stupid. But for other people, that is enjoyable, and that would not discourage them from enjoying it. Just I wouldn't expect them to be like, oh, why do you not laugh at that? You're clearly not. You don't think that's funny. You're stupid. Like, as long as they don't judge me, I won't judge them. But it definitely has lost a lot of its momentum, at least on the social media side. I don't see it everywhere like I was before, which I'm grateful, because, like I said, I was not the biggest fan, but I do feel like, even looking at like the next gen console games that are coming out, I don't really see too much in the way of like. Doesn't seem like too many big battle royales are slated, from what I kind of saw. But I did a brief glance. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Something to come back to look into more. But I feel like a lot more story-driven stuff needs to come back, in terms of, like, you can have a battle royale. You can have a story-driven game, and you can have a battle royale. They can both coexist. It's just you have to do it the right way. And you have to do it in such a creative way that it's not seeming like a clone now. Because battle royales all have the same formula. And, like, people would be like, well, Michael, almost all games have the same formula. What do you mean? Like, every shooter has the same formula. You shoot a guy and he dies. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right there, but everyone puts their own individual twist into it. Call of Duty is one of those games that's kind of like, it repeats its formula. It brings in its old maps, and like even the fan base is kind of like, I don't know how you feel about it personally. I've got mixed remarks about it. Some people are upset that they were, in the beginning when Call of Duty Modern Warfare first came out, they didn't like the idea of these maps being brought in back from the old games instead. They thought it was a lack of creativity, which I didn't mind it to a degree. I didn't mind them bringing back old maps and remastering it because that's what Call of Duty does. They've always done that. And they know what formula works for them. They have security. They're not going anywhere. They survived that stupid robot shit they did. If they can survive that, they're going to be around for a long time. And so for them to jump into the Battle Royale, I feel like was a lot less riskier play for them than some of these other gaming organizations. Like, because I can only imagine the amount of time you have to put in to design one of these. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like let's create a Battle Royale for our game and we'll take, 2 days? No, it's not like that at all. It's like there's so much that goes into it. Even Warzone is known as this bug-infested Battle Royale that's constantly expanding and growing with its bugs and glitches that constantly need to be patched. And I'm sure that's common in almost all battle royales, but it's very harped on with Warzone because there's also a mass amount of cheaters that have been pointed out, and it's kind of hard to gauge that. At some points, it's like, is that person cheating, or are they just that good? Because I feel like, and you feel free to disagree with me, I feel like you can see cheaters a lot easier in battle royale game modes than you can in a multiplayer game because the map is static for a battle royale, but to have such an internal understanding of it where you can just shoot at a wall and hit a guy and know exactly where he's sitting is a little bit more obscure than playing a multiplayer map that where people you develop that habit of knowing where people will sit constantly because the map's not changing, whereas battle royale maps, they do shift, they do change. It's not as fixed as a multiplayer map is. So I feel like cheaters do stand out a lot more, but there also so many more coming into it because, for one, it's a free game, and I do find I don't know how you feel about it, about the free to play concept for battle royales. They all kind of take that standpoint, but then season pass, billions of skins, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not free to play because there are and they say these skins don't give an advantage. I'm sorry, but if you're gonna sell this is kind of a jab at Call of Duty, but if you're gonna sell a ghillie suit that's fully covers the body, that looks just like the same shade of green as what's on the Warzone map, and only offer for I think it's Gollum or Grinch. I'm pretty sure it's Gollum is the one who has a partial ghillie suit that you can still kind of distinguish the color on. It's kind of there's a little bit of a pay to win degree. It's not enough to smear to completely smear the numbers. And obviously, any player with half their stock is going to know to check bushes. They're going to know people are going to be hiding. Mm-hmm. But
another thing to add with the kind of the play to win is the tracer rounds. With how that if you get hit by tracer rounds, that obscures your vision. It just if it's red, your screen goes red, and it's just you can't see shit. So that's another one that's kind of even though they say, all this is cosmetic, it gives no competitive advantage. It's slight advantages, and especially if it's somebody who's a really good player, you give them a slight advantage more. That's those people that you see get the 20 to 50 kills consistently a game because they're finding those, I guess you could call them exploitations in the game. Not quite cheating, but it's an exploitation. It's something that is administered in the game. But when you put a purple tracer round on, you hit a guy, as you're hitting him, this guy can't see shit.
Exactly. Well, and then another thing is to consider too. It's because tracer rounds are good and bad because I feel like the devil's advocate argument would be but that person exposes their position because people can see their rounds flying. But also it could be used as a diversionary tactic too because say you see someone shooting these bright colored rounds, you could have a sniper ready to flank them, and it's there's such a fine line between strategy and exploitation. It's very hard to pinpoint what is exploitation and what is strategy. Because technically, a good strategy could just be an exploit. But this is another thing I think about too is the fact that when I look at some of this, just outside the skins, I see I see so much poured into like making sure that they create a very strong base and throwing their shop in their face, like in your face. And not, and I know it's not a battle royale actually. To not to deviate away from what I was about to say, but to get back to it, like one exploitation, like because like for example, say we're playing Rocket League, right? Say you have a boost that can like be very smoky, like you can obscure the ball. If you have something that could like, but also what Rocket League does is they also do have free ones that also are very smoky, so it kind of balances out. And some more of the complaints I have in terms of like battle royales overall is that where where does it go? Like where will it eventually go? You know what I mean? Like what is the aim with it? Because eventually you're gonna get burned out on it. I have moments where I get burned out on it. Maybe there are some people out there who can consistently play a battle royale, but it just feels like why don't you create something that has a lot more replayability, and I know it's hard to with a battle royale. It's not like a storyline game with side quests where you can do all these other little things. And they're trying to, like, even with their new Halloween special, which I don't know how you feel about the zombies. I feel like they might be a little too overpowered. I don't, in my opinion, if you, and also people exploiting with the zombies, you get a UAV, you can see everyone on the map. They just sit there and they camp. It's like, you kind of take the fun out of it, and that's how you got blitzed the other day.
Yeah,
and it's
I walk into a house and there's a zombie sitting in a corner, and he just came out of nowhere. It's like, what? It's like you're a zombie. Run around, jump on people, fly around in the air. Like, why are you sitting in a corner in a house?
Yeah, exactly. And I do like the like I don't feel like they need to have a constant UAV, especially if your purple stims are on the map. Like that's kind of like a UAV in itself. You know there was someone there. They're probably still nearby, and I do like the concept of being able to come back that way. And I'm glad they implemented the zombies. This is something we talked about before. And
yeah, it's funny. The exact thing that they did is an idea that we entertained a few weeks back with.
Oh yeah.
If you die, you come back as a zombie, and then you can get like the antivirus to people and come back into the game. And that's exactly what they did. So it's kind of cool to see that play out.
Oh yeah, and it's like it almost just speaks volumes to but like how predictable things are going to move, and it's not a bad thing because those are the things I asked for, and I'm not going to complain because those are things I asked for. The things I didn't ask for is the fact that they can EMP you, they can throw down some kind of smoke grenade. I understand like. They're not the strongest. They don't have weapons, but they do have super jump, which could definitely be used in several ways to just completely break the game. And it's not like you can win it as a zombie, which is fine, but I don't know. I just feel like it makes things very conflicting. And also another issue I have with it too is I get it. When they call it night mode, it's not night mode. It's like cloudy and maybe 7 p.m. in the winter mode, maybe 6 p.m. in the winter mode. Like it's not dark. I can clearly see everything still. It's like my idea of a dark mode, which I would love to see them bring into the game, is like how they actually have their multiplayer. It's actually dark, and then have all the city like. It'd be dope if you're like running and you just look at downtown and it's just lit up because all the buildings are lit up with lights on, and it'd be really cool. And I guess that's just I really want to know like where can battle royales go from here? Like they do a lot of the similar things. They implement vehicles, they add in trains, they add in subway stations. Like I barely ever go in the subway station. Half the time I forget it's a thing in Warzone, and like. It's cool and all, but like I'm just curious, like especially like where's Cold War gonna go with its Warzone? I know you were saying it had more of a blackout vibe from what you could tell.
Yeah, just with the way people got knocked, instead of the so you know in Warzone when you get knocked, you like sit on your ass and you like scoot around. Well, in Blackout and what they had in the it wasn't a Warzone mode in the beta, but it was basically, I think it was like it was called Dirty Bomb, where you have squads of 4 in a map, and you have to like kill people, you get uranium, and you can like blow these bombs up. But basically you drop out of the sky, just like a Battle Royale, and like you have your loadout and all that stuff, and then you can knock people, and when you knock them, you have to finish them. And kind of what gave me the Blackout vibe was the fact that rather than like when you're knocked, you like scoot around on your ass or whatever, you're on all fours crawling around like Blackout or Fortnite. So
Okay.
that was kind of and just the feel of it. I mean, you look at it. I mean, for instance, Blackout was on Black Ops 4. Cold War is a Black Ops. So obviously there's going to be that crossover, those similarities between Blackout and what is going to be the Warzone in Cold War, because well, they're going to be made by the same people. Because Treyarch is the main developer on Black Ops, and then Infinity War and Sledgehammer do the Modern Warfare series. So obviously, it's going to be an interesting transition from Modern Warfare Warzone to Cold War Warzone. I think it's going to be overall the same. I'm probably going to enjoy it just as much, but it's a new game. It's going to take a little bit of adaptability.
So two mechanics I would really like to see added into Warzone, which I know there'd be a lot of people who'd complain about it because there'd probably be people who figure a way to exploit it. But is when you're down, I think if you have a handgun as your secondary, because how many people actually carry a handgun as their secondary, I think you should be able to use it. I think if you're down, you should be able to use a handgun. Sure, you're not the most accurate person in the world with it, whatever, but I think you should be able to use one singular handgun, so no akimbo, because that could be too OP. But I think you should be able to use like a revolver or a deagle when you're down, kind of like call back to zombies kind of concept. I think that'd be sick. I think that'd be cool. And I also think like in terms of like making it a little bit more creative, is if you're down, if you want to pull a pin on your grenade and detonate yourself, you can, but you forfeit. I'd say you forfeit your chance to go to the gulag. Your teammates have to buy you back if you blow yourself up, which I think would be pretty interesting. I think it'd be cool.
Or even like that concept you're talking about in like older Modern Warfare is like Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. The older ones, not the newest one. There's the perk Final Stand. How you drop with a pistol. If you can get a kill within a certain amount of time or before you run out of ammo, you get back up. So I think that'd be something interesting to see. But also at the same time, I feel like the biggest downfall with that would be is you and another person, you're the last two people left in the game. You knock him, you're one bullet away from dying. He goes down, pops you once with a pistol. He gets up and wins. You know what I mean?
See, but I think that would be interesting though, because it would challenge you. It would challenge you to have to think about that, because you know that he may have the opportunity to go down. And I don't think it should be everyone has a chance to go down. I think it's only if you have a handgun. I think if you have a handgun, you can be able to shoot down and shoot.
Otherwise, I think that the way that they could implement that is, you know how right now it's up until the fourth circle closes. After that, the gulag is closed and you can't come back. That from the time the game starts to that point, that's when they should have the final stand. After that, if you go down, you don't get a pistol. You get no final stand.
Or it could be something along the lines of like, you know how you can pick up self-reses and stuff like that. Why not have it as something you can pick up? And you have to choose between that and a self-res. So instead of being able to self-res yourself, you can kill an opponent. That way it's like you kind of have to – it's a hard tactical choice. Would you rather have the opportunity to just kind of crawl away and not be loud and self-res yourself in a corner? Or would you rather have the opportunity to, like, instead of it'd be like a self-res gun or whatever. Like, sure, they think of a better title than that. But you can use that gun, and if you can down an opponent or finish off another downed opponent – you get the opportunity to res back and get back up. And I think there's so many ways they could think about implementing it, but I think it'd be cool. And another thing I would love to see, I haven't seen it. It may exist. It may be out there online somewhere, but I haven't seen it on console yet, is a fully based battle royale around the concept of medieval stuff, around no guns. And yeah, it would probably be a little harder. Maybe it had to be like a little bit of a smaller map, but I think it'd be interesting. Like you have to use swords, crossbows, bows, just other stuff like along those lines. I think would be really interesting.
Ability would be like horses.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you just have horses to get around. You can find catapults and just like, I don't know, fucking do some crazy shit. Like, there's just so many things, so many cool concepts you can entertain with battle royales that haven't been done yet.
It makes me
Even the
think
sci-fi.
with how like there's mods in Skyrim. I mean, it almost surprises me that there's not somehow a mod to like create a battle royale. You know what I mean?
So one thing they did do, don't quote me. It's funny you say that because I was actually just modding Skyrim before this. Uh, big into that. So one thing that there is it's a very buggy multiplayer feature where you can have like somehow a team like one of your friends play with you. It's very weird. It's very buggy. I don't know if they refined it, if they made it better. I can't remember if it was Skyrim or if it was Fallout. It's one of them. But yeah, you can have another player play with you, but it's like play like they're kind of like there, but they're not able to do much. But it's still like I would actually love to see Bethesda, because Bethesda fails so hard in terms of like I wouldn't say so hard. Fallout 76 isn't so bad. Like it's not a bad game. It's different. But and Bethesda is like, for example, Elder Scrolls Online. I'm sure it has a pretty big following and a fan base. I never personally was able to jump into it because the way they release them, the way it's set up, is just so confusing. It's like, are those expansion packs you're coming out with, or is that a whole new game I gotta buy? Does it have all the content from the previous one, or is it its own entity? In terms of, because there's Elsewhere, there's I don't even know that. I think they're up to like 5 of them, 4 or 5 of these Elder Scrolls Online. So they clearly have a fan base. There's a fan base that likes playing them. There's a lot of lore there, which is awesome. Which I honestly do more reading about the lore than anything in terms of those games. But I would love to see them create not so much a online multiplayer game. It doesn't have to be that. Like to where you have like 30 people with you, but maybe just one friend. Like make it kind of like you can bring in somebody with you. And I know we're getting off subject, but there's just so much that could be added into video games, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are out there who are like, oh well, this is my idea for a battle royale, and like in these game designing teams, and they get shot down because it budget, time. There's so many factors that can affect how they can present like the finished project. And this isn't even a battle royale, but it's something I do want to talk about. So there's a new game coming out, Cyberpunk. Yeah, so Cyberpunk, there's a lot of features that were in it that were actually cut. Not too many. Like maybe like I know customization of vehicles is not going to make it into the game, but it was shown in the beta, and this is a future episode we'll dive into. So I'm not going to jump too deep into it, but yeah. So ultimately, yeah, things like that. I'm curious to see moving forward, though, with Battle Royales, where it's going to go. So just wanted to get back on topic. I want to see where Battle Royales are going to go. I don't know if you had any interesting creative ideas that you would like to eventually see turn into Battle Royales, or any certain franchises you wanted to see a Battle Royale.
I want to see a Madden Battle Royale. No,
oh, yeah.
No, that'd be the dumbest thing ever.
Or would it? It would. No. No, it would.
I could see like Star Wars Battlefront. Maybe I feel like that would be an interesting scene for them to jump into, especially with the amount of characters they have. They would you'd have access to dozens of characters without. Well, it depends how they do that. They'd maybe give you, I don't know, 3 to 5 characters to start off with. But if you want to be Han Solo or Princess Leia, or you want to be Chewbacca, those are skins you'd have to buy. So
that could work, but I actually got a really cool idea now that you mentioned that. What if it was like kind of they created this concept that like, because I don't know if you know the rule of 2 in Star Wars. So when it comes to Sith Lords, there can only be 2. I can't remember which Sith Lord established this rule off the top of my head, but there can only be 2 Sith Lords. So imagine like there's a singular Sith Lord who decides, like, they could just create this character. It could just be some offshoot feature in the Star Wars, because, Star Wars is always growing and expanding, and it doesn't have to be canon. But he could have, like, hundreds of these young, Force-sensitive people fight to the death for that position. And that's what you're technically fighting for, is to seize that position and have that power. And so you could run around with, like, lightsabers or blasters even, and just be Force-sensitive and kind of just see, like, create a whole game around it. I think that'd be dope. I think that's actually a really cool idea. What I would actually kind of like to see, just because I don't know how the game mechanics would be. Gears of War. I don't think it would be the best idea, but I would love to see them try. And
I think one of the biggest mechanics in the game that they would have to find a way to nerf it is roadie running. So
yeah,
imagine like a guy's just roadie running and you like shoot at him. It's increased damage resistance while you're doing it. So everybody would just do that everywhere. So you'd almost have to like nerf that so that you take more damage than in the game. It would be an interesting concept, and maybe it is something that Coalition is currently in the process of trying to make. Who knows? But also I'd be very okay if they didn't, because it would, for a game like that to jump into the Battle Royale scene, I feel like it'd have to be they'd have to change a lot. If you just took a Gears of War lobby, made the map like 20 times the size, and added 90 people to it, I feel like that would just be absolute chaos. Like, I think it would be over very quickly just because of the mechanics of the game, the guns, the fact that shotguns are a one shot. Like in Call of Duty, or like really even like Fortnite, like there's different shotguns and they all work differently at different ranges and stuff like that. But in Gears of War, you all get one shotgun and it all does the exact same damage. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
And then another, what was I thinking of now? I lost my train of thought. There's another one that I was thinking of that would actually work very well, but now I can't remember off the top of my head, so I don't even know why I'm mentioning it. But but for Battle Royales, I think there's always a new creative twist to put on it. Like, even as I was researching them, Tetris has a Battle Royale technically, which is a weird concept. So weird. Like, you just play Battle Royale Tetris against other people and try to knock them out of the game. It's so weird, but it shows that there's definitely room for growth, for creativity, and I look forward to see what future developers do. I hope Battle Royales don't necessarily disappear, but they don't become this. I don't want it to become this kind of cliche concept that's used sort of if a game you're worried isn't going to succeed, you're going to throw a Battle Royale in it just to kind of like try to add a little more meat to what you're making. Like, create a finished game first. And I know these game developers have deadlines, and I know a lot of it is very, very, very fast-paced, I'm sure, like in terms of like depending on what development team it is. But I think there's definitely more room for growth in terms of the creativity side of these Battle Royales. Like, there's so many franchises that have options to do this, but I also don't want to see them ruin their base game. So that's also, like, I said Gears of War would be an entertaining idea, but I don't think I would like to see them try to strain themselves, because that's not what they're about.
No. But yeah, as you had mentioned, kind of with the creativity, and along with creativity comes change with these games, I almost think that the leap that Fortnite took to kind of change what they did, I hope that other franchises like Call of Duty being the main one looks at the changes that they made and realizes that they're going to lose people. They're going to create a different community and a different audience if they, I don't even know what Call of Duty would do as far as like a big like if we went on tomorrow and there's a huge update and they're like, oh yeah, we added this to the game. Like, I can't think of like what that would be that would ruin the game for me, but
I think I can think of one: tanks. I don't want to see tanks. I don't want tanks.
Yeah.
I do not want tanks in there, and I feel like that's definitely something that could break that game, because there's going to be exploitations of that. They're going to find ways to manipulate that, and I don't want to. I want to see more vehicles. I just don't want to see anything too overpowered. That's why I love the truck. I love the truck with the 50 cal. It's still easily taken out, and I love Juggernaut. I love that they added Juggernaut, and that's a very fun concept that you can play around with. Like, I mean, we had you sitting on top of the truck as a Juggernaut, so we were pretty much just running a full-on, like, just murder truck, because we had 3 fucking giant-ass machine guns just blazing everything, which is, in my opinion, not an exploitation, because we were very easy to take out.
Yeah. One thing from the Cold War beta that hopefully that transitions into Warzone is they had dirt bikes on there.
See,
Like,
that would be dope. That'd be really
yeah,
dope.
it's a two-person vehicle, which so is ATVs right now in Warzone. But you could put 4 people on them. I don't know how you'd stack 4 people on a dirt bike, but I'm sure it's possible.
Plus, it's a lot smaller hitbox too. The ATV still has a decent sized hitbox too. On a dirt bike, I feel like you're smaller. You can hit certain things at different angles. You can't
I
on
think
an
I
ATV.
think the dirt bike should and probably would have the fastest speed too. And I kind of like how they have that in Warzone, how the ATV is the fastest and the Big Bertha truck is the slowest, and then like the the SUV is a that middle range, uh, which makes sense. So even going a step down from the ATV to a dirt bike, I think that thing should be just fast as fuck. But you're the most vulnerable because because it's a smaller hitbox. Yes, you're harder to hit, but at the same time, if you do get hit, like there's a good chance that they're hitting you, not the dirt bike.
One thing I think that'd be cool to add in too is propeller airplanes. Not just having helicopters in Warzone, but have propeller airplanes just to create like a kind of add more diversity to the air and have something different in the sky. Just that way, like you get to have more versatility. You could have like just to have something different, and then you could have dogfights in the sky outside of just a helicopter. You could have a mounted gun on those airplanes, on these propeller airplanes, and just there's so much they could do with it. But I feel like ultimately we kind of touched on a lot today. I don't see really too much more to talk about when it comes to battle royales. I think we kind of covered our base, and I feel like as we move forward with these next-gen consoles, because I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now, we're kind of just waiting to see where all these development teams are going to go as they have so much more access to more capability now. They can actually do more. So I'm very curious to see where they go, and I'm going to be tuned in and looking forward to it, and we are going to hopefully be able to implement that onto our podcast and share that with everyone else.
For sure.
So also, for anyone who's going to be tuning in, our next episode is obviously going to be Halloween based. We are going to just make the most out of it. It's going to be awesome. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, so this is a subject I love to talk about. Me and Collin, actually, just a little tidbit to add in there. We were playing this game called Secret Neighbors. Recommend it. It's based off the game. It's created by the same development team. What's the base name of the first game?
Neighbor.
Hello, Neighbor. Yeah, it's not bad. Just prepare to sit in long lobbies, but it's a fun little scare game for all ages with really terrifying implications. But
yeah, all kids are missing. Like, oh
yeah, no. Not with that mustache. I don't trust what he's doing. but honestly, with that, I think we kind of got everything we wanted to say across, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds
Just kidding.
good.
This week, Friday.